Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. So glad you all could join us once again. For those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad to have you all with us. I'm going to go ahead and connect with our friends over on Instagram so they can be a part of our conversation for today. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live. And boy, do I have a special guest that's joining us for this segment. It's the first time we've been on the air this year together. And she was just telling me this is our first interview of this year. So I'm very excited about that. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. Belinda, hello to you. Thank you so much for the follow over there on Amazon. If you have not done so already, again, the follow button is over here or down below as Belinda just clicked on it. You also will see some of the books by our next guest. So excited to welcome back Dr. Norma McLauchlin to our broadcast. You know her as an author of fiction. She's written nonfiction, and she's also been able to now create this great series of children's books that I've been really enjoying myself. I'm going to talk to her about that and the work she's been able to do in North Carolina with her school and how you all can be a part of that. Dr. Norma, always great to talk to you. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. I am so excited to be here today. As you said, this is somewhat of my coming out since I've been ill. So I have not done a lot of sharing or being with anybody. But as you can say, I've been doing mostly writing. But
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here with you today. And thank you so much for the opportunity to do so.
The pleasure is definitely all mine. I had a chance to meet Dr. Norma. Dr. Norma, you know I had to do it in person last year. You can see us there together. There together. My first trip to Fayetteville, North Carolina. There, I was honored by Chosen Pen by receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award, the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, as well as an award for volunteerism. Dr. Norma, that was the last time again we were together, and that's the last thing we haven't actually had a chance to talk since that. What has it been like for you to kind of reflect now in these 6 months since then on everything that's been happening?
I have been, this weekend has really been one of those reflecting times
Mhm,
because during the time, a lot of the memories or whatever were not there. But
mhm,
even with, Lashira called me last night and we were reflecting and talking about it and saying, well, the picture that you saw there, that weekend was probably the last weekend that I ever was out in public or did anything in public. But just looking back on meeting you and having so much that happened in that year
mhm.
alone was amazing. I can think about all the things that we did, all the things that we accomplished, all the literacy pieces that we did together. And that culminating one, that end of December, or the early part of December, I think it was December 5th, was really a culmination to the year. I was excited to be able to talk to the people who won the awards and those people who submitted books for their awards. So that made it even more special because for me, my heart is with the writer or with the
Yeah.
person or with the individuals. So I was able to talk with them, meet with them, even though I was not at my best to do so. But that for me made the end of that year really special and gave me memories for while I wasn't able to do anything to think back on working with them and the things that they had submitted. And I've gotten so many calls and notes from those people who were there with
Mhm.
thankful notes, thanking me for having them there and allowing them the opportunity to present some of their works, probably on a platform or a type of platform that they never would have had before.
Right. And I just want to share, I had a chance to, because of you, had a chance to meet some other members of the CMG family. There we can see, don't you just love technology? Tina Seaman, got a chance to meet her in person there in Fayetteville for the events with Chosen Pen. Of course, got to see again for the second time Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Dr. Toss. Both of them won awards that year with the Chosen Pen Awards. And then again, there we are together. I want to talk about vision because you are a person who's definitely a visionary. Have you always known that, Dr. Norma, that was one of your gifts? Hey, Melissa, good to see you. Melissa says, good to see you as well, Dr. Norma.
Hi, Melissa. It's good to see you and see all the things that you've been doing this year as well.
Mhm,
But as a visionary, no, I did not always know that, although I was practicing it, not knowing it as a gift in particular.
mhm,
It actually happened for me, probably one of the most, I guess, the most famous, as you would call it. But anyway, the moment that I found that out, but in practicing being a what the people then now call the first lady, the pastor's wife, or whatever,
mhm,
I was at a point in my life where, of course, I was working. I was an administrator at the Fayetteville State University here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, but the part about the church part just wasn't clicking for me. As far
Mhm.
as being a pastor's wife, the cooking, the singing, the playing, the all those parts just didn't resonate with me because that's not what I was accustomed to doing. Although, of course, my mother grew up being one of those type of ladies because my father was a deacon in the Baptist church. But for me, it wasn't. And then in search of that, I did a lot of women's ministry, and we had a conference, a women's conference on spiritual gifts. And in that, I found the spiritual gift assessment and all of that. And we all took it, and I administered to so many ladies that weekend. But to find out for myself that mine was vision,
Mm.
a visionary, entrepreneurship, leadership, the things that I do. But
Yeah.
to actually be able to put a name to it and to see it biblically in scripture was just the eye opener for me.
Wow. Yeah.
And when I found that out, I'm going, this is what I'm all about. I
Yeah.
see visions, I see things that people don't, my husband, nobody else usually doesn't catch up with me for about 3 or 4 years. And I
I,
have moved on to something else in that time. And go, they come back, well, how did you? I said, oh, if I didn't write that down, did I send you a plan or whatever? Because I usually write a plan for whatever visions that I'm having so
right.
that they can be implemented.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that part, and even doing that and talking with the women that I talk with, to be able to say, okay, I see that you need to be able to do this, you're doing this. God is giving you these gifts not to be in a position where you are now, expecting someone else to support you. Because you have these gifts that God has given you in order for you to be successful in life, in
Right.
order to be what he would have you to be here on planet Earth. So just let's implement the gifts, get to working in the gifts and working in your own role, is what I like to say, in your own journey. And you will be successful. You'll have the funds, you'll have the monies, you'll have whatever you need to be able to survive here on
Right.
planet Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dr. Norman, it's so funny. People accuse me, I think wrongly so, of pushing people and prodding people. But I think you were a pusher and prodder before I became a pusher and prodder because Dr. Anissa talked about how you pushed and prodded her and how that helped her to be able to now do the things that she's been doing as
Yes.
well. What has that been like for you, as you mentioned, to be able to hear back? I kind of what when you were saying that, I thought about the lepers, how the one leper came back to thank Jesus for what he'd done. What has it been like for you to have people come back and tell you how what you shared with them, what you did for them, has benefited them?
It is, I think it's a very humbling experience for me. Although it's also an experience that I can say, thank you, God,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm doing what it is that you would have me to do. That because I'm not doing it out of my own personal interest,
Yeah.
but to be able to see them blossom and grow into what he would have them to be is for me. That for me is what the answer is. I'm going, that is all. I mean, it's all about kingdom building.
Yeah.
And if you are doing what God has asked you to do, that he has birthed you to do
Mm-hmm.
in what he has given you in your own giftedness, then I'm doing what I need to do and telling you what that is and encouraging you to do and to walk in those. But by you doing it, you are also answering what he will have you to do.
Yeah.
So through that, I think it's a twofold answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
And that it excites me to no end to do that. And when I have people, they always say, nobody, don't ask anyone to volunteer. It's a voluntold experience.
I love that. I love
And
that.
I said, but you're not really hurting my feelings when you tell me that.
Mhm.
Because if you hear it, then I know that I'm doing what I've been called to do.
Right. And
And,
that's right. And there's no greater feeling than that. Dr. Norman, you are one of these authors who has, in our circle, I think of also of Dr. Velma, this too. You've been able to write nonfiction and fiction to stay true to your message. I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to highlight it again for those joining us on Amazon. The forgiveness game is a great example of this. You've been able to take your message of forgiveness. This is the first cover here of this one, and being able to share messages that are so important to you. But then you have books like, I'm going to highlight it here, The Gift of Freedom. That you've been able to publish, and then of course even books for fathers. I have my The Evolving Roles of Fathers book here. Talk to us about the forgiveness and how that became such a big part of your platform.
well, forgiveness is something that happened to me well, not to me, but because, I thought I was a pastor's wife and I was, all of that in the church and I knew everything. But when I was doing women's Bible study, which I had written several Bible studies, and we held them in my home. But I was teaching on forgiveness and teaching the other women how to go through the forgiveness process.
Right.
And at the time we were closing our eyes and asking the Holy Spirit to show us who we needed to forgive and how we were going to go through that. And of course, I was doing the same thing. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, you need to stop until you can go back and forgive the person that you're holding unforgiveness for. You're harboring unforgiveness for. And I'm going, well, I'm not harboring. I always have these conversations. The Holy Spirit and I fight all the time. But I'm not harboring unforgiveness. So what's the problem? And he said, well, continue to search. And then when I thought of really, really started looking back over my life, I saw that the unforgiveness that I was harboring was with my brother-in-law,
Mm.
who had issues with my sister, physical abuse and all of that.
Yeah.
And I just, anytime there was a conversation that came up about him with him in it, I did the negative
Mm.
with his children, with my family, with everybody. I mean, I really poisoned people against him
Mm.
through my words, through my mouth. And so I had to really go back through that process and forgiving him, although and then uh, asking for forgiving him for what I thought he had caused, the harm he had caused to my sister, but then asking him forgiveness for the things that I had said and done about him. Although I still think, they were true things, but the way I said them and did them was not correct.
Yeah.
Asking his children, my niece and nephew, forgiveness for causing the harm that I did in talking about him to them, about their father, which I had no right to do, and being to my own father for being angry with him for not killing him is all what I would always say. As a father, you're supposed to have killed him.
Mm.
So in going through that process of forgiving, I'm going, well, if I was walking around in church, sitting on the front pew, being the first lady of the church, then the other people certainly have issues as well. But the
Right.
main issue is if you're harboring unforgiveness, the scriptures tell you you cannot get into heaven.
Mm.
So I'm saying, so all of us are sitting around here thinking we're heaven bound and we really are not,
Mm.
because we have not done the number one thing as a Christ follower, and that is to practice forgiveness. So
Mm.
that's how it really all started
Right.
with me, with that process and on that journey. So that's the journey I've been on, and trying to let other people understand that, you need it, your children need it.
Right.
I did a couple of things for boys, especially with absent fathers or fathers who didn't have a father,
Yeah.
but that the reasons that they act out, reasons that they do the things that they do is because they have unforgiveness in their hearts against someone they don't even know usually.
Right.
So asking them to write the letters, to practice that and to get past that so they can move on to being positive citizens in our society. As I say, a lot of them don't even know why they're angry
Right.
and while that bitter root is there. So that was another one of my platforms for a little while.
And it's something that has permeated even now your children's books, which we're about to get into. I want to bring up what Chris had said. Chris Irvin showing us on Facebook. It says visions are so powerful to attract and manifest the things you desire into your life. Such a great thing, and such a great point too. Mangrum, hello to you over there on IG. I want to say hello to everyone who's tuning in. Welcome, you all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents, a very special episode. Not only because this is the week for Prime Days here on Amazon, but also because Dr. Norma McLauchlin is doing her first interview, really, of this year. We're
Yes.
talking with her about what she's been up to. She's been doing a lot of writing, especially with these children's books. We're going to talk about that, but also work she's been able to do in person in Fayetteville as well. Dr. Norma, people may be surprised to know, and you and I, when we were setting up this chat for today, I told you I want to make sure we talked about. They may not know you actually have a school. Talk to us about the academy and how it came about.
Well, New Life Christian Academy and Prep came about in 1995, and when my son, who is will be turning 40 this January, was moving into middle school, and I'm going. I really don't know if I want you to do that. He's gone to private schools up until I guess second or third grade, so a couple of years in public schools, which I was very, very not pleased with.
Mm.
And we could not find any place for him to go. And I would talk to other people, to teachers or whomever in the the public schools, and they said, well, it's probably best for him to go to a private school. And I said, okay, well, we can give it a try and see how it works. This is sixth grade. He really wants to go be with his friends or whatever. But then one day he came home and he knew we were having these discussions. And why? And he came home and told me, well, Mom, I figured out how I can go to the school, to the public school, and it'll be okay. And I said, well, what did you do? What I mean, what is it you're gonna do? And he said, well, the kids next door, there's a gang next door who told me that they would look after me while I'm there. And I'm going, okay, well, baby, let me just tell you this. You would not speak. So that was this quest that I said, okay, I've got to figure out either to find your school. And
Mhm.
then again, the Holy Spirit and I, because I've been praying about that for a while. And he says, well, start your own. What's keeping you from starting your own? And so that's what I did. We
Wow.
started New Life Christian Academy. I started New Life Christian Academy. He was our first enrollee because I'm saying, well, nobody else goes, that's fine. Because the whole purpose of this is for you to not experience some of those things that I see happening there today, and we can go to work and come home and be happy that you are doing okay.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started, and it has grown from there. Right now we have about 130 kids enrolled this year, so we're really excited about that, as it's grown over the years and as we've developed and grown ourselves. And I think we talked about the need that we have for the neurodivergent kids or
Mhm.
students who are coming in now. So this summer I've been working on a lot of programs for them that we can do with them both face to face as well as online or virtually.
Yeah. Could you have imagined when it began, Dr. Norma, that it would grow now? I mean, the way it has and impact as many lives as it has.
No, I have not. And I mean, even when I think back on it now, I'm going, hmm, we've really impacted or touched a lot of families and children over the years. And when you see them come back and you're going to say, oh, I remember. Yeah, I remember her.
Mm.
We have kids who were just there for 3 and 4 year olds in daycare or in our pre-K programs who've come back, who've been quite successful. So it's just been, as I say, just when you think back on it, you say it has to be God because it could not have been you alone
Mm.
to have done this, who have spread the word. And now we see so many schools popping up. This year alone, I mean, I just every time I turn on my computer, I see so many more schools popping up. Which
Yeah.
I mean, you're not worried about the competition because there's so many out there that there's such a need
Right.
for with the discussions of the public schools now. Not saying that there's anything wrong with them if they could get the support and the help that they needed to be the
Right.
best schools that they could be.
Yeah. Such a great point. Iris Bowling is joining us over on IG. Hey, Iris, good to be to see you. Glad you could be
Hello,
with us.
Iris.
I want to talk about these children's books. I have several of them here. I was telling you, I have one more that's on the way. I think that's my Booker T. Washington book, but I have them in the carousel here on Amazon. We have Martin's Heart, which is the first one that I think I read, and then we have
Yes.
Frederick Douglass,
Yeah.
A Journey to Freedom. Our audience can see it there. Harriet Tubman, A Journey of Freedom and Forgiveness. There is forgiveness showing up again. And these are some beautiful books. Nelson Mandela, A Journey of Hope and Forgiveness. So, talk to us about how, in your time away from us, Dr. Norma, uh, with the idea for this series and what you hope it does.
Well, in that series, of course, that was in January when it all started. When I'm going, that's about Martin Luther King's birthday,
Hmm.
and I'm going. So our children, we hear about him to some degree, but at that time was also a lot coming out how there was not going to be, the movement to not have any of our history taught in the classrooms anymore,
Right.
or wherever they were able to get that. And usually, if we don't get it in our schools or in our classrooms, we don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, so I've got to do something. And so that's how that idea of that came about. And what the 12 books are is a person for each month who has a birthday in that month.
Mm.
Because it started with Martin in January. So I just went on for the 12 months. Whoever you see there is their birthday month as well.
Ah,
But for those children, even if they're being read to by their parents or by their teachers or reading it themselves, there is a lesson. They learn who that person is, who that icon is, as I call these my icon of
mhm,
courage series. But whoever that icon is, you learn who he is or she is, but you also learn about forgiveness. And you have to be able to forgive in order to move on. That these people could not have become the people that we know today had they not forgiven the racism and all the things that were happening to them in order for them to be successful and carry the message.
right.
Um, And that was something else that I myself had to learn. And that was the thing, because I was trying to carry the message in my own high school when I integrated the high school. And that's another message of forgiveness I had to do. Um, when I did that message, but I realized that these people had to probably do the same thing in order to be able to have them honored. You
Right.
cannot honor someone if that person is not doing the right things themselves.
Right.
And so that's how that came about. And that the children, when they're reading it, they're not only read about, as I say, that icon, but they'll learn a lesson. And that in all of my writings, you'll see that I do try to put the faith message in it. And that was the faith message that was in that in those books as well.
I love that. And I think it is such I love the books. I know they're geared towards children, but I think adults can get a lot out of them as well, especially Martin's Heart. I love the way that you wrote it, and how even Martin saw in the way the book is illustrated. One of the depictions that stands out to me are the children arguing, right?
Mhm,
And how
mhm,
sad he
mhm.
got to see that. But what do you hope our audience in particular realizes, Dr. Norman, about the importance of starting early? Because a lot of these things now, I tell people I grew up here in Mississippi, and I cannot say an incident of direct racism or discrimination that I could look at and say this happened because I'm a person of color, or this happened because I'm black or male.
Mhm,
But we
mhm,
know this exists, right?
mhm.
What do you hope people realize about the importance of not only addressing our differences, but also looking at those as an opportunity, like Martin does in the book?
Well, I think that no matter what, we need to first of all know who we are.
Hmm.
And Martin does that very successfully, that we are who we are. And based on that fact, if you know who you are and how you can impact society, it's very easy for you to not know the difference between racism when you see it.
Hmm.
You will know it, but you don't have to act on
Yeah.
it. That we know that racism, as you pointed out, racism is something that is taught and learned. We're not all born racist.
Hmm.
We're not all born to dislike or hate other people for whatever reasons there may be, without having a mind to think about it. And I think that's another part, that in that you need to be able to have some critical thinking skills so that you can understand that that doesn't hold water.
Hmm.
What you're saying and what you're doing isn't true, because you can't prove it, because
Yeah.
there's so many other issues out there or things that have happened in the past that show difference or show otherwise.
Right.
So, and I'm hoping that some of the things that I'm writing, that the children see who they are, they see other people in the books, and that based on that, that their own knowledge and their own understanding of who they are and why they are and what they can do in the future. But those things, looking at these gentlemen, and there's some other books that I've written as well on that, that America is here because of the things that we did.
Hmm.
We built the nation. Just about everything that is going on, that it would be difficult to say that it could not have been without us being here. And if we don't teach the history, if we don't show the history, our children in this generation won't know the history, and
Right.
they won't know who they are, and they won't have the pride in themselves. They won't have the confidence in themselves to be able to reflect and come back from what people are saying about them, or about their people. So that's one of the reasons that I share and try to put forth to my own grandchildren and everyone, that I mean, it doesn't matter who your friends are, what you, but just know who you are within
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
And I think too, in Martin's Heart, as well as in Harriet Tubman, A Journey of Freedom and Forgiveness, there's another message that I picked up on, Dr. Norma, that we're stronger together. I think a lot of times we feel like we have to go it along, and that no one can help us, no one can tell us anything. And
Hmm.
though, as you talked about earlier, yes, the vision may be given to us, but it doesn't mean we have to carry it out alone. What has that been like for you to realize for yourself, but also that you hope that message gets through in the books too?
Well, it does, Cyrus, because I think not carrying along, because usually, as I say, you can have a vision,
Hmm.
but without having someone to help you implement that vision, it's going to be truly difficult.
Right.
Just like with the books, I have the vision, I can write them, but I have to have someone to help to format it, do
Mm,
the illustrations, do all of that in order for it to become a product, a
mhm.
useful product that people can see and read. So
Right,
the vision is important. It's significant because there would be no book without the vision,
right.
but you still have to have a team. And I'm just kicking around my phone something. So I gotta
It's the
get back into
passion,
practice.
passion coming out. Ah!
But you have to have a group of people, like-minded people.
Yeah.
And my thing is not just yes people, but
Yes.
I need to have people who can say, this doesn't look very good, or this isn't,
Hmm.
is this what you really meant?
Yeah.
And to give me that type of support with the vision. As I say, I can have, I got so many books. I mean, but Jasmine, Jasmine, she asked me this morning, what else do you ask? The girl, don't ask that question. Because remember, I've had 6 months
Mm,
to write and put forth stuff. So I have more stuff than I'll probably ever be able to get formatted and published.
mm,
But they are still there to say, okay, what is this? What do you need? Let's stay on this particular thing
mm.
before we move to other. Don't send me 1,000 things at one time because I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest problem with business because once you finish with one piece, while you're working on one piece, so many other things
Yes.
come to you to do.
Yes. Hmm.
And so you're still doing a million things and it's all in your head and you're trying to figure out, well, what is it you don't understand? And they go, we have no idea what you're saying or what you're doing or where you're
Right.
coming from. So,
Right.
but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that, and I think that it's such a great point. But I think I love what you said because I feel I'm adamant about the same thing. I don't like yes people.
Right.
I like people who are willing to challenge me, that are there to help. And I know everything they're saying is there to help, but
Hmm.
not just co-signing everything because I think everything is great. Asking those questions I think are so important. So you have a lot that's going on already. As we're now beginning a new month and a new quarter, Dr. Norma, what should our audience be on the lookout for?
Oh, we have a lot going on this quarter, and we start, or we're in the process of starting back to school. Students return July 28th, which we're very, very happy about. Looking at the numbers, we are, and as well as in the process of the teachers come back on the 15th, of preparing for them to return. And also, don't remember if you recall 2 years ago, I guess right at 2 years ago, our main building burned, and in that, we are now ready to cut the ribbon. Hopefully, I'm just looking out the window and they're out there digging trenches and doing several things now to bring it hopefully to a closure. We can get it done in the next week or so, or we're gonna have a real bad opening of school.
Mm,
But with that, we're going to the new building. We have so many different programs and things coming on board. Um, I am trying to implement a new, we've had an online program, but now I'm trying to do one, or am doing one for children who have special needs, who will be and who have issues sitting in a classroom and with a crowd of people. So
mm.
there will be an online program for them, not only for them, but for all students that need it, who
Yeah,
don't want to be in a classroom, but can be anywhere in the world. It's a
right.
global program. So we have that, and we at one time we had, we I believe in the right brain, left brain. So we're also doing performing arts after school for that, and for those students who are in the classroom who that's what they really are into, but we'll have an opportunity to express that and not have to sit there all day long and be bored because this is not what they want to do and listen to.
Love that.
But the main thing with that, and so we've got the big kickoff with the ribbon cutting program service, and we have getting our board members back up and running, and I mean, it's just a lot going on. We've got our new 4-year-old programs coming on with new materials for them. We have our programs. Our biggest program, I think the newest one is our dual enrollment program. That this year we're looking at from 7th grade to 10th grade
Mm.
to be dual high school program. When the
Oh,
students
nice.
finishes with the 10th grade, they will be able to have finished all of their high school courses and ready to go into college. So then that will move them into our college and career program. We'll be in partnership with some of the local colleges and universities and community colleges, Christian colleges here. And they'll be able to move into those. But we're also excited about the career piece where if you're not wanting to go into college and take college courses, we can push you, help you with your career. One of the programs we have with the career piece is the truck driving piece, that you can take your courses here, and once you turn 18, you can sit for your CDL license and practice in doing that. We're trying to bring on several other programs with Fayetteville Tech, our community college here, that they can go into. So when they finish the 12th grade, they will already be ready to go to work if they don't go to work prior to that, because they will have finished most of their high school courses and be ready to graduate from that. So whatever their hearts are, because that'll be one of the main things that we'll be doing with them initially, if not within the next week, is
Mhm.
where is your heart? What is it that you don't want to do? And most
Yeah.
of us say we don't want to go to college. I mean, I'm a retiree of a college, higher education, and
Mhm.
that was my love. But now I'm going, I don't think this is really the answer for all of our children.
Right.
They
Yeah.
don't want, yeah, they don't want that, and there's no need for that right now,
Yeah.
and there's no money in a lot of that right now. You
Yeah.
make more money, so looking at plumbing, looking at construct, looking at whatever that their interest is, to get them to where they can be successful when they leave high school, and keeping them out of the prisons, keeping them out of being into things that they don't have any business, simply because they cannot afford to look after themselves, or they cannot afford not to leave home, or there's nothing else that they can do. And so that's one of the biggest pushes for that college and career piece that we're trying to implement this year as well.
Love that. Ellen Sutter, hello to you over there on IG. Appreciate you. So a lot of great things our audience could be on the lookout for. Now the books you guys can get here on Amazon. So make sure you all do take advantage of that. We have them highlighted in the carousel there. So make sure you all do take a look at the children's books, but also the books, as I mentioned, like the novel, The Forgiveness Game that I have here. Also, we have in the carousel the other book I mentioned, The Evolving Roles of Fathers. You all can see it there in the carousel too. Also, we have there, let's see, the other one we had, Dr. Norma, I just highlighted because mine just came in. Oh, yes. Lost Hope, Faith Found also is there
Yes.
in the carousel as well. You guys can get the Kindle of that one for only $2.99, or the print edition as well. But Dr. Norma, let them know, how can they stay connected with you and find out more information about the work you're doing with the school and for yourself?
Okay, you can get me at Dr. Norma Speaks, Dr. Norma Presents .com, or you can get me at First Lady Norma at gmail.com. All of those, I mean, I have a lot of different ones out there. So if you put Norma McLauchlin in, you can probably just get me on any of them. But those there, and I didn't mention Cyrus. Let me just throw in there for a moment, because you asked me some
Sure.
of the things that were going on.
Mhm.
Because one of the big things I'm pushing this year is not losing one child.
Mhm.
Commitment. That's a book and another series of mine. It's a 12-book series, but it's about the issues of children in high school, and those that are being silenced, those that are being lost, those that are being captured. It'll be looking at all of those different issues. But the campaign is the one that we're going to kick off with the school. So you'll have a we will not lose one child to the world through that. So just look out for that. That book should come out today or tomorrow. I had hoped that it would be out today so you could see it, but
Mhm.
it will be out soon. And all the books in that particular series. And I did want to say the main impetus, and I think we talked about this, Iris, was the reason for having a lot of these pictures and trying to have them in color and bold and bright, was because, as we talked about, when I was growing up and going to school, public school, there were no pictures of anything that looked like me. We had no, if I opened a book, I was not there. Even
Yeah.
through integrating high school, when I opened a book, there were no pictures that looked like me. There was nothing. There were no people. There were no one that chose me, who I was and why I was, the significance to us in our world. So if it had not been for our grandparents or our neighborhoods, we would not have known that. But that's another reason for writing a lot of these books, because I'm also writing a Black history curriculum for our school for ages for K4 through 12th grade, so that it's being taken out of our public schools. But here at New Life Christian Academy, you will be able to have it throughout all of the curriculum across the board.
Love that. Well, great work. So glad we had a chance to catch up here, Dr. Norma. Always a pleasure. Looking forward to great things and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you, and so am I.
All right. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.